The night I buried my old life, I wasn't standing over a grave. I was sitting in a bar watching my best friend laugh with the very people who wanted me destroyed. That's when I knew. He wasn't just my friend anymore. He was my enemy. And enemies deserve to fall. My name is Michael Grant. I grew up in Detroit, raised on the kind of streets that teach you quick lessons about loyalty. Loyalty kept you alive. Loyalty built trust. And loyalty was supposed to mean something. I believed that for most of my life, until the day it was shattered by the man I trusted more than anyone. When I was 25, I started a construction supply business with my closest friend, Eric Sloan. We had dreams, big ones, about building a company that could stand shoulder to shoulder with giants. We worked like animals. Days blurred into nights. We borrowed trucks, lifted steel with our bare hands, begged clients to give us just one chance. And when the money finally started rolling in, it felt like we had beaten the world together. But Eric wasn't satisfied. He never was. Greed crept into him like a disease. He started making deals without me, shaking hands with people I didn't know, people who wore suits too sharp and smiles too thin. I kept telling myself it was just business, that he was pushing harder for our future. But the truth was simpler. He was carving me out. I found out the hard way. A bank notice slipped under my office door, announcing debt I had never signed for. At first, I thought it was a mistake, but then I looked closer. My signature was on the loan, except it wasn't my hand. Eric had forged it. That night, I drove past our warehouse. I saw Eric's car parked out front long after midnight. I stayed hidden and watched him unload crates with men I didn't recognize. It wasn't construction material. It was cash, bundles wrapped tight, the kind you only see in movies. That's when it hit me. Eric wasn't just betraying me as a partner. He was laundering dirty money through our business, and he'd tied my name to it. I remember sitting in my car, staring at the warehouse, heart pounding so loud it drowned out every other sound. Betrayal doesn't hit like a stab. It's colder. It's like ice spreading through your chest, freezing everything you thought was solid. I could have gone to the cops, but I grew up knowing how that story ends. Men like the ones I saw in that warehouse didn't need a courtroom to hand out sentences. If I went to the police, I'd be dead before I could testify, so I played the only card I had left. I stayed silent. I smiled when Eric walked into the office the next morning. I shook his hand like nothing had changed. And inside, I promised myself one thing. I would make him pay. Revenge isn't fire. It's not screaming or throwing punches. Revenge is ice, cold, patient, sharp. I knew Eric's weaknesses better than anyone. His greed, his arrogance, and his addiction to women he could never stay faithful to. Those things would be my weapons. I started small, quiet. I slipped into the office after hours and copied files. Bank records, shipping manifests, anything that linked Eric to the men he thought he was smarter than. Every piece of evidence went into a folder I hid under the floorboards of my apartment. Then I tested him. I rerouted a shipment, made it arrive late just to watch his reaction. He exploded, screaming at employees, calling clients at midnight. But he didn't suspect me. Not yet. Over weeks, I planted whispers. Anonymous emails to his partners. Cryptic notes slid under his door. Messages on his phone. Does she know? Do they know? I wanted paranoia to chew at him, to strip away that smug confidence. And it worked. His hands started to shake in meetings. He snapped at everyone. His charm was cracking. But the deeper I dug, the darker it got. Eric wasn't just laundering money. He was skimming from the very men he was working for. Dangerous men. Men who didn't forgive. That was the crack I needed. I gathered every shred of proof. The fake contracts. The loans in my name. The cash shipments. I built a case so complete it could bury him in prison or in the ground. And then I waited. The confrontation came on a rain-soaked Friday. Eric left a hotel gala, drunk, his tie loose, his smile fading. I stepped out of the shadows. "Evening, partner," I said. His eyes widened, but he tried to play it cool. "Mike, what are you doing here?" I held out a flash drive. "This is your life. Every lie, every deal, every dollar you stole. It's all on here. And copies? They're already with people who don't like being cheated." For a second, I saw it. The mask slipping. The fear crawling up his spine. He laughed weakly, but it died in his throat. "You don't know what you're starting," he whispered. "Oh, I know exactly what I'm starting," I told him. From that night forward, Eric's world unraveled. His investors fled, his partners stopped returning calls, and those dangerous men he thought he could outsmart, they found out about the missing money. A week later, Eric vanished. Some say he ran south, others say he never made it past the docks. Me? I don't care. Because revenge isn't about killing a man. It's about making him live long enough to feel everything he made you feel. People ask me if it was worth it. If all the nights of planning, all the lies, all the darkness I carried were worth the price. And I tell them the truth. Peace never mattered to me. What mattered was balance. What mattered was looking into the mirror and knowing I wasn't the fool anymore. My name is Michael Grant. And this was the story of how I learned the most important lesson of my life. Trust is fragile. Once it's broken, there's no fixing it. There's only revenge.